Okay, so this was metrics. Now we come to root cause analysis. So problem this is basically problem solving, right? So first, let's say let me give you an example first. You are a PM at Flipkart. There's a decline of about 15% in cart additions in the last 3 days. Help us diagnose the issue, right? So in such a question, you just need to diagnose the issue, need to find the root cause. And to find the root cause, you need to ask some leading questions, right? You need to ask some witty questions so that you get to the root cause in the shortest possible, in the at the earliest, basically, and within the minimum number of questions. So that is about root cause analysis. First, we understand how the metric is being measured, right? How are we measuring decline in cart additions, number of cart additions, right? How is this metric being measured? Then ask clarifying questions to eliminate the obvious and to narrow down scope. These clarifying questions can be whether we are noticing the decline only in the app or the website version, or are we noticing this change in a particular geography, right? Let's say since we are talking about Flipkart, it operates only in India as of now. So we can look at either North India or South India or some particular state. And then we can ask questions like, has there been a recent feature change or has there been some algorithm change which would have led to a decline in cart additions? These can be some questions that you can ask. So this is all about asking questions and asking very thoughtful questions. So we need to find what changed, what metric changed, and we organize clarifying questions under various segments. For example, some internal questions can be around what was the user segment which was affected the most? That can be a question that is around users. Then technical questions, again, what can be what were the newest features that were launched? Did some new feature affect the cart additions or not? Let's say I changed the color of a button, add to cart button. Let's say I changed the color of the add to cart button, and now the button is not as much discoverable as it was before. So in that case, number of cart additions would naturally go down, right? Or let's say I changed the position of that add to cart button. So naturally, it is possible that it becomes less discoverable, visibility is decreased, and that way there is a decline of about 15% in cart additions. These can be some possibilities. So this can be around UI, or this can be around the backend or the tech part, right? Which is some database change, algorithm change, or some change on the backend. And then the external questions, whether there was some new macroeconomic policy or whether there was a new government regulation. For example, let's say there's some new tax which has been introduced and people know that goods have become things have become very expensive. So lesser people are going on Flipkart and buying. So that would naturally decrease the cart additions. And another external thing can be competitors. Whether there was a new competitor that suddenly took up a lot of market share. Let's say Amazon launched a new policy, some discounts are there. People are not coming to Flipkart, they're just going to Amazon. So that way there will be a decline in cart additions. Does this make sense to everyone? Is everyone able to follow? Or if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay. So basically, we are talking about some of these questions that we can ask, and make sure you ask them in a very structured format. First, we talked about the internal questions, then the external ones, and then we went about identifying the root cause. So some of these questions can help you identify the root cause easily. And yeah, once we've identified the root cause, the interviewer might tell you to solve that issue, solve that problem. So, for example, the change of the placement of a button can be a solution, right? So let's say the add to cart button, the position has been changed. So we can again change the position back to the previous one, or we can change the color to make it more discoverable. Something like that can be a solution. Now, when we talk about solutions here, these are very basic solutions. These are not as complex as the ones we had discussed in product improvement. So you would just need to prescribe a basic solution, simple solution. Depends on the interviewer. And finally, summarize. So I've added this summarize step everywhere so that you don't forget to do this, because this is also very important. So some ways to identify problems are, let's say, for example, one thing can be algebraic structures, uh, plus minus, internal, external. So algebraic structures we had discussed in one of the lectures when I was talking about MISI. We discussed this, but you can ignore this for now. This is more towards consulting. You can look at user journey. So user journey, the funnel basically, right? So when I talk about decline in cart additions, it is possible that instead of, going to the product details page itself, they are just dropping off before that. They are not even going to that product details page. So if you track the user journey, first the person lands on the Flipkart website and then searches for a product, scrolls the list of products, then opens a particular product details page, and then clicks on the cart, add to cart button. So that is an entire journey, and the user might drop off at any step of the user journey, right? So you need to understand that user journey as well. It is possible that you are looking at the final step only, and it is possible that the users might be dropping off at some initial step in the entire journey, which is why it becomes important for you to track the user journey. Now we'll solve this question. We'll solve a question next week again. So I'll not take up a live example. But is this clear to everyone? So one question which I solved in a class yesterday also was, so that was not, that is a different course. So there I solved, you are a PM at Google, and it has been observed that the overall revenue from ad sales has gone down by 10%. Which metrics will you use to find the root cause, right? So we again need to find the root cause, and this has been asked in a Google interview live. So this is a question that has been there in a Google interview. So you can probably solve such questions to practice. I'll share these questions with you. Okay. Uh, Two categories done: product metrics and RCA, which is root cause analysis. So within root cause analysis, if you talk about problem solving, right? So I've identified the root cause till here. I've identified the root cause. But if it's a problem solving question, they'll also tell me to prescribe solution and solve the problem, whatever problem there was, right? Whatever root cause was there, whatever problem it caused, I want to solve that problem. So in case of problem solving, they'll ask you to also prescribe a solution. So that is the basic difference between both of these. And then you can get other problem solving questions as well. So that is a possibility. So a problem solving question can be as simple as solve for the traffic in Bangalore. That can be a problem solving question. Very simple questions, but the approach that you take, the structure that the structured thinking that you highlight here is very important. Okay. Product strategy. So whenever I talk about product strategy, I give this example. Google plans to launch an OTT platform, and whether Google is correct, whether Google would benefit from this idea or not, from this plan or not. So should Google launch an OTT platform? That is the question. So that is a product strategy. There's some strategy that I need to, so I'm talking about strategy here. We need to strategize whether Google should launch an OTT platform or not, right? And I got this live in one of my interviews. and I used the SWOT framework. I'll tell you what the SWOT framework is in a bit. So, how to solve this question? First, we talk about what is the goal, right? And we do this in almost all interview questions. We first identify the goal. Even in a metrics question, we want to understand what is the goal of the company, what is the goal of the product. So, what is the goal of launching a new OTT platform? Google might want to get more users, engage users, right? In fact, Google already has a user base of about 1 to 2 billion. So Google might not want to have get more users, but one goal can be Google wants to engage users, or it wants to provide entertainment to users, entertainment content to users. That can be a goal of this idea. And how does this goal fits into the company's goal? Of course, the company's goal in this case, Google wants to make information more accessible and wants to organize information. And entertainment content is also some kind of information. They want to make it more accessible. So that is one thing. In fact, this does not fit very well into the company's goal because making entertainment content accessible is there already. YouTube is already there, right? Which is probably a reason Google has not introduced an OTT platform till now. So that way you can think along those lines. This would help you build your product thinking. And then who are the users? Of course, right? Again, so at the background, everything is about the circles framework. So this has also been, I have derived it basically from the circles framework. All these frameworks that you can see, right? These are not general frameworks. I have made them myself. But whenever you go to any boot camp or any kind of training course, degree, whatever, you will find very similar frameworks. So you will find the basic essence of each framework would be the same. For example, in this case, first they'll identify the goal and then probably they'll understand the company's goal, then the users, and they might even, after this, they might even go ahead and understand the needs of the user, needs of some potential users, and then they might move to frameworks or whatever. So at the the crux of everything is the basic circles framework, and I have derived every framework from that only. So this you can talk about the users here, and then you can use some frameworks. When I talk about frameworks, I don't mean to say that you need to use a framework. So it is totally up to you. You can, so if you have some strong, uh, some other structure, some strong structure that you want to use, you can do that. And if you don't have a structure, it's perfectly fine. Just make sure that you solve the question in a structured fashion. So if you don't have a pre-made framework or something that you already know, then also it's fine. Just you need to make sure that you solve the question in a structured fashion. So the Porter's five forces is for market entry. You can look this up on the internet. We had covered this in one of the consulting courses that we did last year. So that, or you can easily find this on the internet. So Porter was a Harvard Business School professor, and whenever a company wants to enter a new market, they usually use this framework. So five forces are, for example, threat of competitors, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers. Those kinds of things are there in these five forces. And SWOT analysis. What do you mean by SWOT analysis? Does anyone know?
Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat.
Yes. And we again taught this in the consulting course. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Let's talk about this question, the Google OTT one. What is the strength uh, which will probably motivate Google to launch this OTT platform? What is the strength? So let me write this question. This is the question. And what are the strengths that Google has? Yes, please go ahead.
If Google starts an OTT platform, it will directly add to the revenue because people will buy subscriptions. Secondly, an OTT platform is uncensored. Most of the content on YouTube also is censored, so this can also be a motivation.
So what is the strength here? So this can be motivation. This is an opportunity, right? This comes here. This is not a strength, right? You get what I mean, Vaishnavi, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is an opportunity. The user base, the huge user base, that is a strength. That is a real strength. No other company in the world has such a user base, right? So the Harsh is right. Everyone is, I think, talking about the user base only. Perfect. We want to we know very well that Google has a huge user base, so that is the strength. Any other strength? One strength can be Google has a very good team, has a team of the most brilliant people in almost every country, right? So the team is also a strength. Platform suddenly, then it will not lead to any. Can probably put its best 100 people on building an OTT platform. So that is also a strength. It has very good employees. What is a weakness? In fact, it has employees in almost every country. That is a strength. So I can simultaneously launch an OTT platform, the same product across the world, right? So it has a team in almost every country. What is a weakness? No prior experience. So YouTube, they already have some idea, right? That is some kind of a strength. YouTube is a very good product. YouTube is just like an OTT platform, right? So uh, this is, in fact, this should be a strength. It can leverage all that it has learned from YouTube. That can be a strength. Late entry into OTT platform is a very good weakness, definitely a weakness, because at this point of time, when the landscape is so mature, when there are a lot of companies that are there in this space, it's very late for Google to enter, right? But it's never too late, of course, which is why Google is considering maybe launching an OTT platform. So yes, the competition, late entry, all of that is definitely all of that are weaknesses. Relying too much on advertising, slightly dicey. Um, no, even if it does not advertise its OTT platform, people will people will notice, right? Let's say it can you can word of mouth is one thing. Then you'll hear from other people. You'll hear from sources. So that is there. And even if it wants to advertise, it will not lose any revenue or any significant amount of revenue. It might send an email to all of its users, right? That we've launched this platform. It's very easy for Google. Or it might display an ad on YouTube, right? On the homepage you get this ad, right, on the top. So it might display that ad for 1 month continuously. So there'll of course be some loss of revenue, but yeah, I mean, even if it does not rely too much on advertising, it can do that. So this is a good point, although this is a good point that you've considered. This is the thought process that we want to build. Competitors like Netflix, definitely. So Netflix, reaching the stage of Netflix is definitely a goal that Google would have, right? If it launches an OTT platform. And to reach that stage, you need to fail, and then learn a lot. Again and again, you need to build, update, rebuild, all of that. So that entire process is a very long one. So okay. So good question. Competitors can occur in threats also. This competitors thing, because there are lots of competitors that are there, and late entry in the space can be a weakness. So late entry is not a threat, it's a weakness. But when we talk about competitors, it can be a threat. So this is where you need to define your boundaries. So let's talk about the threats now. since we've just talked about the weaknesses, let's see how it is different. Some threats. What can be some threats, guys, now? Yes, so competitors is one threat. Lots of competitors are there. Even if this new OTT platform, let's say GTube or something, whatever, that enters this OTT market, then it can probably get easily displaced by other things, right? For example, Google Play Music failed, or Google Play Music was not very successful. So that was a threat. What else? What else can be a threat? Have no data of OTT users. This is probably a weakness. How will this be a threat? So threat is something that, let's say Google enters this space, or while Google enters this space, there would be, some threat to Google. So one threat can be around the security, around the data breaches, and that security part. We want to keep all the data secure. So every country has a different policy of security. So some policies can be more dangerous or more harmful for Google. Some some countries are very reserved with regards to the data. So let's say a user goes on this OTT platform and gives some of his or her data on the platform. So that is a threat. That security policy, that data policy that the country has, that can be a threat to Google entering that space, or that country basically. So that can be a threat. Chances of product copying, yes, that can be a threat. Uh, Copyright issues are there. Those are, of course, threats. Government restrictions, definitely. Government restrictions, some countries are very hostile. Now I don't want to name any such country, but some countries don't have a very, supportive policy for new companies entering that country. And some countries don't really favor that those global products to enter the country. They might prefer in-house products more than the other products, the global products. So censorship policies can also be a reason. Government restrictions, yes. So all of these can be good reasons, good threats. What about opportunities? Tell me some opportunity. Netflix has recently lost a lot of users. Isn't that an opportunity? Right? Netflix has recently, I think they've lost a lot of revenue, they've lost a lot of users, and this can be hence the best time for Google's OTT platform to enter. Yes, they'll get a new user database. They'll get a lot of more data about the users, right? As if they don't have enough already, but they'll get a lot of more data about users. So they will get this new data, and new users also they'll probably get. So someone using everything, all Apple products, might just like the OTT platform and might download the app on iOS. And that can be a new user altogether for Google. And then later on, he might start using Gmail, he might start using other applications also, right? Like Google, the entire Google G Suite. That person might start using the G Suite products. So that is one thing. That is an opportunity. Any more opportunities or any more strengths, weaknesses, threats, anything at all? All right. So that was the SWOT framework, guys. And now we have the RICE framework. This is, I have already told you, this can help you prioritize a few features. This can help you prioritize the problems that you need to build for. This is basically for any kind of prioritization. And let's say you are launching into country A, B, and C. What will be the order of launching into A, B, and C? You can prioritize that. You can prioritize this choice using the RICE framework. So RICE can be used for some kind of prioritization. We've covered this multiple times. And then the final judgment. Now, after you've gone through all these steps, you need to give your final judgment. This is just like summarizing the case. So market entry, I've given you an example. Product launch, launching a new product in Africa, let's say, launching a new product in the rural regions of Indonesia, something like that. That can be a product launch. Okay, so that was product strategy. Prioritization we covered yesterday. And next session we'll cover guesstimates. So what all have we covered till now? Quickly summarize the types of questions we've covered. So we've covered product design, improvement, metrics we covered today. We'll discuss one example on metrics next time. Then problem solving or root cause analysis. We've at least covered the framework. We need to discuss the example of this next time. And product strategy, we've covered the framework as well as discussed the example. Prioritization we've done. So now we are just left with guesstimates, product pricing, and HR questions. So pricing will take very less time, but HR questions, there are lots of HR questions that you need to go through. I'll just take, a half an hour session on this probably. And then we'll be done with at least the interview questions. Then we'll move on to examples of real life interview questions and then we'll also move on to case study building case study decks, all of that. So those are the next steps, and we'll meet next weekend. All right.